your girl TiNgS and I'm back with another video. Happy Halloween, you guys. I just want to say happy birthday to all the Halloween babies. I know that I have an aunt who is a Halloween baby, and so I just want to say happy birthday to you, Auntie Sharon, if you're watching this. And I'm just so excited for this video. I want to also once again apologize for the lighting. I'm still going off the natural daylights, but you know, it's okay. And I also am sad to say that this will be the last episode of Spooky TiNgS, but just for 2018. I also want to apologize again for not posting as many videos as I wanted to post. You know, life got the better of me, and some of you know how that goes. But before we get started with this video, if you like what you see and you like what you hear, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Alright, so we are actually going to go ahead and jump straight into the story. This is another one of my personal stories like I did in the first episode, and this is titled Little Angel. So this story once again takes place in my grandmother's house, which is actually where I spent pretty much most of my childhood. And this takes place again in me and my little sister's room, except this time we had a bunk bed set up instead of the two twin beds along each wall. And our bunk beds were set up directly near the entrance, or directly beside like the door to enter our room. My grandmother, I believe, was downstairs, and I'm not exactly sure where my parents were. I just know that they weren't in their rooms. We were doing our normal things, you know, like my sister was playing with her little stuffed animals and toys and Barbies and stuff, and she was kind of watching TV at the same time, but she was mainly playing with her toys. And I was watching specifically an episode of Hannah Montana. I can't remember which episode it was, but I remember I was watching Hannah Montana, and I had stood up to go and get something, but I get easily distracted, so I'm standing there with my little hands on my hips and watching the show as I got distracted from whatever I was getting up to do. And I remember feeling like a presence behind me, like as if somebody had just walked into the room. But I didn't hear a door open or anything, so I kind of just, you know, brushed it off. I continued to watch the episode while trying to remember exactly what I had even stood up to do. But the presence kept feeling stronger. Like I kept getting like these tingles, and this, like, just the senses kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So I kind of just look over my shoulder a little bit, and I see this person standing there. I believe it was a little girl. I mean, it could have been a boy, but I'm not exactly sure. But I remember them having long black hair. It was about this length actually, and she had brown skin. She had this long white dress on. It wasn't like a gown, but I know it was a dress. And she kind of had her hands like locked and just like over her tummy, and she was just standing there. And I didn't feel anything negative or anything evil, you know. I didn't think much of it anyway, because it was normal for us to have people over. Like my dad sometimes would bring friends over, and if they had kids, you know, I would play with them, or sometimes my cousins came over. And it wasn't uncommon for people to be over at our house. And so at this point I had completely turned around, and I'm trying to focus. I'm focusing on her looks and the way she looks to see if it was somebody I knew. But from the features and from what I could see, because the bed frame with the way the bunk beds were set up near the entrance, she was kind of like not leaning up against the bed frame, but it was to a point where like I couldn't see her face. I couldn't really see her feet or anything like that, just because of how the bunk bed was set up, and the bars were kind of blocking my view of that. And so, you know, I turn around and I'm looking at her, and I'm like I said, I thought maybe at this point I thought it was a friend of my dad's and their kids or kid. So I begin to speak to her, you know, once I finally realized that, oh, somebody's standing there. I'm like, well, hey, you know, you can come on in. We're just watching Hannah Montana. I apologize. We're just watching Hannah Montana, you know, and got some toys you can play with. You know, you can come on in and enjoy yourself. That's not and she looked at me. Well, I can see her head kind of turn, so like I don't know if they were looking at something, if she was looking at something else or what she was looking at, but I could see her head kind of turn towards me. I still couldn't see her facial features. I still couldn't like see her eyes or make out her mouth or anything. Her head turns toward me. So she didn't say anything though. So I figured maybe she didn't hear me, so that's why she looked at me. And so I quickly turned my head, just because I was showing her exactly like what I was talking about. So I turned my head and I'm like, well, like we have some toys you can play with. And that's literally how quickly I looked. I looked like this, super quickly. And when I looked back to look at her again, there was nobody there. So in my head, I'm like, what? Because I didn't hear a door open, I didn't hear any footsteps. And our house, well, my grandmother's house is very, very loud because it's so old. And so literally everything creaks when you walk on there. Any type of weight, you can weigh nothing, and the board just still creaks. So like I would have definitely heard her walk away or heard the door open or just anything, and I didn't hear anything. And just for, no one can move that quickly without anyone noticing. So I kind of, I'm a little shocked at that point. And I look at my little sister and she looks at me, and in my head and from the way she's looking, I know that she saw what I saw. And so I walk over, I open the door and I look. I didn't hear any footsteps. The stairs are also really loud as well. Like the tiniest movement, all of them squeak. I didn't hear any footsteps. I didn't hear anything. So I'm kind of standing there and I'm like, did this happen again? Because at this point I'd been seeing a lot of spiritual things and been seeing a lot of ghosts, or whatever term you like to use. I'd been seeing a lot of things. And so I'm like, gosh, did this happen again? And I go back in the room, and in my mind I'd already made up, it was just another spirit that was just passing through that I have an encounter with. I go back in my room, and at this point I've forgotten all about whatever the episode I was on. I completely forgotten what I had initially stood up to even do. I was just kind of sitting there and just in thought and just thinking about how vivid that was. Because most people, when they think of ghosts, they think of like, being able to see through them, or they're just floating in the air, but that spirit, the little girl, whoever she was, looked like a real person. And just the reactions that she had was like a normal person. Like when she turned her head towards me, when I was speaking to her, clearly she can hear me and knew that I was talking to her. And it's just, I don't know, it's just freaky to think about. And it also helps validate that my sister saw it as well. And for her to remember that and be able to validate that I saw that, and that whole situation actually happened. And it's it's crazy to think about. And ever since, I've said it, called her a little angel, because that's exactly what it reminded me of, the way that she was dressed and just how tiny she was. I don't know, it's all, that's one of the encounters that have always really stuck with me. And just to know that not every spiritual encounter is a bad encounter or a scary encounter, and I'm not really sure what to make of that whole situation or that whole entire experience. It's just crazy to think about, anyways, that's really all that I have to say for this video, and that is it for this story. I would love to know in the comments if you guys have ever had an experience like that, or if you've ever encountered something that's happened to you that you can't quite explain, or had a good experience with the spirit. I would love to know. Just let me know down in the comments. And once again, happy Halloween, you guys. Please stay safe if you are going out. Look out for you and your friends or your siblings, whoever you're going out with. Be safe, but most importantly, have fun, you guys. You know, get all the candy. Don't eat too much candy though. Don't get a tummy ache, because that stuff really hurts. I know it does. It's hard because, you know, you get all that free candy, especially if you go to like the good neighborhoods and they give you like them king size chocolate bars. Oh my goodness, you guys. But you know, be safe, be careful. You guys have my social media, so if you would like to tag me into any of your videos, if you would like to tag me into any of your photos, I would love to see them. But yeah, you guys, once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time in the next video. Bye.